Hello again, I am Jim Bob. Welcome back to Fendt Farm. It's the start of a new day. It's quite a cloudy start to the day as well, and we have a great demand. While you're away, I carried on ploughing and then seeding those fields. So you can see here that we have our canola that we planted on field 13. I planted soybean on field 5, and then on fields 2 and 3 I planted sunflowers. And we also have this this soybean crop here on field 25 that we purchased in the previous episode, and that's going to need a bit more fertilizing as well. If we go to the growth stage, you can see that 25 is slightly ahead because that was already sort of growing, whereas these should be in their first actionable stage of growth by now. And in terms of fertilizing, well, fields 2, 3, 5 and 13 only need one more stage of fertiliser, so that's nice and easy to do. Field 25 needs 2 more stages, so we're going to have to run a weeder over that and then potentially even just spray it, or use a fertiliser spreader on it on the final stage. So we're going to get that underway first of all. The yard has changed a little bit. The 800 favourite now lives down here, and the 700 Vario that was in there, that's now been relocated over to our other farm. So this is going to stay here, and this is going to be the workhorse tractor over here. So we have our small tractor for doing our cleaning and working in the sheds, and then we have a larger, more powerful tractor for everything else over here. Plus this also has the option of a front loader as well, which is good. And then over on the 700 being over there gives us the option of a tractor with a front loader over there where we need it, and also more importantly a tractor with care wheels that can be fitted over there for fertilizing as well. And I said we had a great demand. We do. It's for wool again. We have another wool great demand. So this came in yesterday while I was finishing off the ploughing, or last week as I should say, as I was finishing off the ploughing and the seeding over here. So we actually have a really nice price. It's stabilised now at 8403. It started off at around 6.4, 6.5, something like that, and was like that for a few hours, and then as it got towards about 8, 9 o'clock in the evening on the previous game day, it suddenly started shooting up. And then a little earlier this morning, it kind of stabilised at 8403. I say that's due to finish at 4 o'clock. So we have a little over 9.5 hours left. So we're going to keep going and try and get in another full pallet if we can. We already have 3 pallets loaded up, as you can see just here, on our trailer, ready and waiting. If we can get a 4th pallet as well, that'll be fantastic. If we can't, we'll just take whatever we've got and stick that on there and then go and sell all of that. So first things first, while we're over here, let's quickly tend to our animals' cleanliness, especially the sheep. We want to keep them as productive as possible, get them producing that wool as fast as possible. But we'll start with the cow shed as always. So let's just pick up all this grass that's in here. Try not to hit the wheelbarrow. Let's just move that out of the way a little bit. Ugh, excuse me, try not to sneeze here. So just make my way in. Reposition the buckets. And let's scoop up all of this grass. Could do with the bucket being just a touch wider really, so we can get it all in one single pass. There we go. So we'll dump this in here. Oh, whoops. The great levitating cow, ladies and gentlemen. And let's go and do the same for our sheep as well. Let's just make our way through here. There we go. We'll go and do the same with our sheep. We'll go and tidy up their feed trough area. And say keep their productivity as high as we can so they can produce wool as fast as possible. it's possible we may just be able to squeeze an extra full pallet out in the time remaining. If we had a few more sheep, then it wouldn't be an issue. We've got quite a few sheep. We're up to 74, I think. 74, 75 sheep, something along those lines. We've actually got more cows now than we do sheep, ironically enough. That's because we bought all of those cows not so long ago. So here's the mess in our sheep yard, our sheep pen. Scoop all of this up. Last little bit. Trying to avoid having another levitating animal moment. There's not much there. Oh, yeah, no, we've got another levitating sheep. Oh, dear. Alright, so let's check our animal overview tab. Once the cleanliness, kicks in, that we've just changed it, those will shoot back up to 100%. We're good on food and water. We're up to 56% wool on that pallet, so hopefully in the time remaining before that great demand finishes we can get that up to 100%, but if not, we should get it pretty close. So we'll park this back up because we've kind of done with the little 300 here. We'll park this back in the shed, and then we'll scoot on over to the other farm. We'll pick up our 700 Vario, and we'll get that switched onto care wheels and start fertilising crops. And you can see our Vario is already here in the shed waiting for us. So let's change these wheels over to narrows. There we go. And we want to get our weeder. There it is, just in that shed there. And the first thing we're going to do is go off and fertilise the field that we purchased. So field 25. I think it's 25. Yeah, field 25. That's where we're going first of all, because that's the one that is furthest ahead in the growth cycle. The other ones, as I say, only need one more fertiliser stage, so that can be done pretty much at any point up until when we harvest. Whereas this still needs 2 more stages and is a little bit further ahead. And we should have road access just over here, I think. I think this is field 25 just here. Yes, it is. Oh, and that's my access road just there. So we'll hire our worker, get him weeding away on the field. We are going to have to plough this field once we're done. But there we go. Our worker is off and away, so we'll leave him to it, and then when he's done, we'll move on to another field. We're actually going to help out, simply because we've got so many fields to work on. We're actually going to help out a little bit as well with our little 300 here. So let's drop off our front loader. Actually, we'll drop the bucket off first. We're going to take this over and pick up the Axis sprayer. And we'll use that on one of the fields just to give us a bit of a fighting chance of getting everything done. Because obviously with time progressing, we're going to have to weed that field that we're working on, 25, again pretty quickly. So let's just drop the rear weight just there. Let's lower down our front loader just there. Spin around, we'll grab the little front weight. Hopefully that will be enough. There we go. Now let's head over, pick up our Axis sprayer, and put some fertiliser down on probably field 13, I think. So we're going to back the tractor into our workshop so we can swap the wheels out. And we are a little bit too close. I don't want to mess around with the weight, you see, so there we go. So let's change the wheels to narrows. Done. I have to pick the weight back up. There we go. And then our spreader is just in there. Oops. There we go. Yeah, we're just lifting a little bit, but not too bad. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this guy on standby on field 25, the one that we've just done, and we'll get him to spread on that field as soon as that becomes ready again, and we'll weed the other fields because they're quite big, and I'd rather, you know, fertilise those for free with a weeder than pay to use a fertiliser spreader. So we'll keep this on standby so that the moment the crops change, we can immediately get that final stage of fertiliser on the field with with this, rather than having to break off using a weeder on a much bigger field and not pay for the fertilisation. In fact, that might have changed already, actually. Is that the case? No, no. It just looks a little bit. Just looks for a second as though it was. Oh wait. Did that actually fertilise? Oh, it did. Thought for a minute maybe it wasn't fertilised, but it does look. Yeah, maybe we're ready. Okay, so we'll park that there. Let's get into our weeder. There it is. Just looking at the soil colour there. Is that the same? Obviously it's darker around the edge because that's cultivated rather than seeded. Yeah, I think we're all done. Okay, so off we go again. So we'll get started on field 13 and we'll just weed our way through all of our fields as the day progresses. We'll keep an eye on our animal tab. We'll keep an eye on our wool production and get ready to sort of take those pallets down and sell them at the store. We are entering the final sort of few episodes of Fendt Farm. Actually, we haven't picked up our eggs yet, have we? Let's pick up the eggs. Quite a few this morning. It's such a shame that we don't have better sort of egg management in the game anymore. You could make a huge amount of money with chickens before, but you could at least increase the number of chickens you had, so you could get a decent number of eggs if you worked hard at it, which meant you could at least make something when you sell them, but they're worth absolutely nothing in the game anymore, especially on hard. And you get so few eggs per day that it's just kind of, what's the point? This is pretty much the only farm where I'm actually active on picking up the eggs. I don't bother on American Outback or Mustang Valley. There's just absolutely no point to it. A, because they're really hard to find on Mustang Valley. And they're not that easy on American Outback either. And B, as I say, you get so few and they're worth so little, it's just not worth it. Hopefully we'll see a change to that in Farming Sim 19. Chickens will play a bigger role again. Because, it could, if it's done right, chickens can actually be quite a big business. But we'll see. Right, weeder down, worker off, and there we go with another field being fertilised. So I've put the front loader on our little favourite here, and although we don't need to go and tweak the sheep pasture just yet, what we are going to do, Just give that a little nudge there. What we are going to do is at least get ourselves in position. I want to keep them as clean as possible, as long as possible, just to really maximise how much wool we can make in this final period here. So we're down to about 97% cleanliness already. We'll wait till we get down to maybe a little bit more, and then periodically we'll just keep coming and shoveling up whatever grass is loose, stick it back in the trough, and as I say, keep their productivity at the highest possible level. We're up to 62% on that pallet of wool there, so getting ever closer. And we've got a new sheep coming onto the farm, our 75th sheep in half an hour as well, which is pretty good. And there you can see that the crop has actually just changed to the next growth stage. So while it won't affect our weeder, we should still be able to carry on weeding over here. It does mean that we can now get underway with our fertilizer spreading over here. I would do this manually, but because it gets so thick and dense when you get to this stage of growth with soybean, you just can't see where you've been. It's almost impossible. Look, there's no real gap in coverage as an indicator as to where we've been, and without anything like GPS as a guideline as to where we need to line up for the next pass. I mean, look at that, it's just blanket coverage. You can't see where it needs to be fertilised and where it doesn't need to be fertilised, so we'll have to get a worker on this as well, unfortunately. We'll do some manual fertilising a little later on, some manual weeding. When we get to our sunflowers, we'll definitely be able to do those because we'll be able to see the crop between the rows. But with soybean, it just gets so thick and so dense that we just can't see anything. What we can do while we're waiting, though, is we can just obviously scoop up this little bit of grass. Make sure that we are keeping these these sheep in tip-top condition while this great demand is running. There we go. So we won't have to do that again for another couple of hours, but they should very quickly go back up to 100% coverage again, or 100% cleanliness. Up to 68% on that pallet now. I'm starting to think we're not going to get a full pallet before 4 o'clock, but we are going to keep it as close as we can and make as much wool as we can. And we have that extra sheep now as well, so that'll help slightly increase our wool production speed as well. So this should tick over to 100% again in just a moment, or 99% more likely. Just waiting for the meters to catch up. They tend to go in sort of like half-hour chunks, so or 20-minute chunks, I think it is. So we won't see anything straight away, but any moment now we should hopefully see that start to climb back up again. And like I say, we just keep an eye on our cleanliness level over the course of the morning, and then hopefully, there we go, shot back up to 100%. If we can keep that nice and high, we can keep our wool production at tip-top speeds and possibly squeeze an extra pallet of wool out. Our worker has finished on field 25 here, so if we just check the chart, this should be fully fertilised, this field now. Let's just have a look. Yep, we're fully fertilised. Excellent. You can see we've actually got a thin blue line around the edge. The dark blue is actually the crop, and then this sort of thin blue line around the edge here, that is just the part of the field that is basically the border that you can see there where nothing is planted. So we'll lose a little bit of potential harvest because the AI didn't plant all the way around the field. It always seems to have that little border system in place, but it's not too much, and everything that is planted is now fertilised at stage 3, which is excellent. So let's return our axis, and then we can take our little 313 back over to our other farm, park it back up in the shed. So yeah, as I was saying earlier, into the final sort of weeks of Fendt Farm here, at least on Drummard, we will be relaunching Season 2 of Fendt Farm as soon as the West Coast goes live or within a week of the West Coast going live. I want to sort of play about with the map a little bit first, acclimatise myself, figure out exactly where everything's going to locate. But don't forget, we are going to be running two separate playlists, two separate Let's Plays on the same farm. Both Massey Manor and Fendt Farm will both be running on the West Coast at the same time on the same save file. So that's going to be an interesting challenge, trying to keep all the resources and finances of both farms separated on a single save account. It's going to be quite a challenge, but it also enables us to do quite a bit of inter-farm cooperation. So you'll be able to see crossovers between the two series, where we might come over from Fendt Farm with some manure or some slurry, for example, and work the fields for Massey Manor and receive maybe some grain or something, or maybe some wool or something like that as payment, and then vice versa. You can see Massey perhaps pop over with and do a job for Fendt Farm. So there'll be some equipment that we'll have on Fendt that will be beneficial to both farms that Massey won't have, and likewise Massey will have some equipment that will be beneficial to both farms that Fendt won't have, and will deliberately sort of keep the equipment separated out like that. And also it means that when we have a big baling session, we can actually bring in help from potentially from the other farm as well. You know, we can go and borrow their baler, you know, to have two balers running, for example. You know, there's all sorts of things that we can do to actually cross over both of those series and have little guest spots in each other's playlists. So I'm really looking forward to this. I've just got to wait, obviously, for the West Coast to go live. We do know that there are a couple of issues with the console version right now that are being worked on by Bill. The map is not in testing as of today's update on the testing thread, so I'm not sure if it's been resubmitted just yet. Bill is keeping a little quiet on that at the moment. Obviously, he's trying to fix the texture issue that was causing the last fail, but hopefully that'll get fixed pretty quickly and then re-upped to Giants, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we may possibly get our hands on the map at some point next week. We'll just have to wait and see how long it takes Bill to fix and how quickly he can get it re-uploaded back to Giants. But obviously, if you stay tuned to my Facebook page, which I will link in the description below, then we will obviously bring you, updates on that as soon as we have them. Alright, our worker is finished here, but invariably we also have a little bit of issue sometimes on this field in the corner. So let's just check the map. And yeah, we're done. Oh, excuse me. So let's take the weeder over to our next field. Kind of drive through the crop a little bit here. Let's get out of the field as quick as we can. There we go. So now we're going to go on to our big field 5, which has our soybean crop on it. We'll get that weeded, and then from there we'll move on to our sunflower crops on fields 2 and 3, and those ones will weed manually. We've also got 3.5 hours left till our great demand finishes, so starting to get to the nitty-gritty part time-wise. Hopefully we'll have a nice large injection of cash from that wool. Each of those pallets is worth over 8,000 per 1,000 litres, so each of those wool pallets is going to be worth over $16,000, or euros, as I should say. Let's see, how are we doing on the wool? Up to 78%. Cleanliness is down to 91. So let's quickly give that another little scoop. There we go. Get that back up to 100 again. Excellent. So yeah, 78%. Given delivery time, we've got just over 3 hours left. So it's going to be interesting to see, but I don't think we're going to get to another full pallet, unfortunately. Okay, so the clock has just ticked over to 3 o'clock, which means we have less than an hour remaining on our great demand for wool. I've just done one last cleanup of the grass feed area, so it's time to bring the bucket back down. We're going to swap over to the pallet forks, get ready to load onto our trailer, and then we're going to use our little 800 Vario to transfer that over to the spinnery. So let's get this parked up here. There's our pallet forks waiting on the tarp there. This would probably be easier actually using the smaller 300 Vario for this, but we'll make do with this. It's a really, really tight little wool area just here. And the fact that this pallet is off to the side doesn't help at all, actually. I know what we can do to make things a little bit easier on ourselves. We can just give that a little nudge. There we go. Just check the fork height. Alright, there we go. So, it's time to slow time down so that we don't run out of time trying to get this over. How much did we get in the end? 89%, so not far off. Not far off a full pallet. Let's get this loaded onto the trailer and then we'll take this down and sell it at the spinnery. Work our way through here. I am still absolutely loving this 800 favourite by Smetty. It's such a versatile tractor. It's going to be absolutely perfect for when we relaunch Season 2 of Fendt Farm as our kind of starting tractor. Just take those straps off. Oh, I think we might just push the other one off the back a little bit. Now we're okay. So, tie the straps back down again. There we go. Are we missing a strap on the end? No, we're not. So, let's drop the forks off because we don't need those anymore. There we go. Let's get ourselves connected up. Still remains to me one of the best little short trailers that we have available to us, at least for pallet movement and things like that, is this little trailer from the Massey Pack. So we're off to go sell another stash of wool. We've actually been really, really lucky with wool great demands on this farm. We've had quite a few. So it's always nice to see. It's just a shame that we haven't had more actionable great demands on some of our other farms like American Outback and Mustang Valley. We've had very few great demands on those that we've actually been able to work on. This one we've had loads of great demands for both soybean and also for wool, you know, two great sort of money producing crops that we have, or products that we have. So yeah, we've been kind of really, quite fortunate on this farm, whereas we haven't had, the same degree of luck on our other farms. We've had very few, if any, for stuff that we have. We're actually going to show the whole trip down here, just because it's such a nice tractor to be in. This little Vario here, sorry, this favourite. We don't really get to spend a lot of time in cab, so oh, look, we're struggling up this hill. Look, oh, we can make it. Come on, baby, come on, girl. There we go. Crested the hill. Yeah, we don't spend that much time in cab, so it's always nice when we have a new vehicle like this to just spend a little bit of time in the cab, really just sort of appreciating the way it looks. Very much as kind of a 90s feel to this interior. All those, display layouts and all these dials here on the side as well. And we're going to get to the market just in time, so we're going to have to slow time right down, actually, so we don't actually run out of time to do the selling itself. Slow down to real time. There we go. You can see our worker is still busily weeding away in the field there. Our money count is still going down. And part of me is going to be quite sad to see to say goodbye to Dromard. It's been a really great little map to play on. I might actually run my own little private farm on this map from scratch. It is such a fun little map to play on. Really nicely laid out. But yeah, as I say, we are getting to the point where it's time to move on. So there we go. Our wool is in. You can see our money is going up. Let's see how much we get. Oh, you just saw the weight of the trailer shift there as one of the pallets disappeared. There goes another one. And again, you see the weight shifting again. And the final pallet. There we go, all sold. And we made $64,000. Or 64,000 euros. That's fantastic. A really nice little cash injection there. Just from just 4 pallets of wool. It's almost a shame that we've had these sort of great demands as frequently as we have, because we haven't had the chance for a really, really big blowout on wool. And obviously, I don't think we're going to have time for another one now. I don't think we'll get another one before we end up here. But let's take this back to the farm, and then from there we'll jump back into our 700 Vario, and we'll get the last couple of fields weeded and ready for harvest. Ooh. And who knows, maybe we'll go into the weekend with some new mods as well. We are still waiting to see if anything gets released today. There hasn't been a lot of activity on the testing thread since we had the BSM hook lift go live on Friday. I think it was Friday. Was it Thursday? Last week. Yeah, we had the BSM hook lift, the 850, go live. And we also had that little farmhouse placeable as well. And then the only other thing that's happened since then is an update to the BioBelt's rotary cutter. We've had no new releases since then, so obviously I've been checking that on a daily basis, and the testing thread has gone in and has remained pretty much unchanged throughout the week. I mean, we've had moments where it cleared off and stuff failed, and then they re-added stuff that had been resubmitted for another round of testing, and it was pretty much the same stuff that had just failed. So we haven't really seen a lot of new stuff come in, or a lot of stuff change on the thread. A couple of mods have disappeared So they haven't been resubmitted for testing yet. Among those, I think, is the Tatra Terno ITR truck that Toxicom's been working on as a replacement for his Biobelts ITR, which I don't think we're going to see back anymore. I think the Terno is going to be the replacement for that. But you never know. We may possibly get a couple of mods between me finishing recording this and it going live. Obviously, I'll be posting details on my Facebook page if anything does go live, and then we may even try and incorporate a couple of those mods into one of our farms, depending on what goes live and whether it's useful to either of our farms or any of our farms in terms of the current farms that we have. I do like to try and mix up the mods that we use on different farms so that you get to see a variety of different stuff available. Although there are some that I just love so much that I tend to use wherever I can, so we'll see how that shakes out. Right, so we'll put the front loader arms back down. We'll park this up in the shed, which will give it a look clean. Hasn't had one yet. Restore it to its kind of non-muddy glory. Just take another moment to just appreciate how nice this favourite is. The 818 variant that we have here. Look at that gleaming away now. Beautiful. So yeah, we'll get this parked up and then we'll take over weeding duties from our 700 Vario. Don't you just hate it when something goes wrong? You can see here, because we sped time up a little bit to get our great demand processed, we actually went past the operational window of our weeder. So we now have more than half a field here that we can't fertilise anymore, and we have these two fields that we can't fertilise with the weeder either. So we're going to have to spray those. Oh, that's so frustrating. We just made a whole chunk of money, and now we're going to have to waste a big chunk of it with fertiliser pellets, because I don't think we've got enough fertiliser left in our axis to actually cover all three fields. That's so frustrating. Little mental lapse there, me not paying attention. So let's get the weeder put away. We'll get the axis put on. We'll have to rework field 5 just to do that bit that got missed, and then we'll have to hire a worker for that one as well, because again it's really thick level soybean, so I just cannot see a damn thing in there at all. I completely forgot that you only get the chance to use the weeder on the first 2 stages of growth. Are we on the second stage actually? Or are we on the third? Yeah, we're on the third and final stage of growth. So once you hit that third stage of growth, that's it. The weeder doesn't work. It only works on the first 2 stages, which is really, really frustrating at times. Although it makes perfect sense. And actually gives us a good reason to need more than one method of fertilising as well. You know, you could just go, well, I'll just weed everything. I mean, initially, that's what we could do. You could weed a field at any point, apart from when it was harvestable. Obviously, they patched and updated that to stop us from doing that, but yeah, it's become quite severe now. So, let's drop that off. Let's pick up the axis. Try not to nudge the trailer too much. Go. Yeah, we've only got 800 pellets left. That's not enough. So we are going to have to spend a chunk of cash to refill this thing. That's annoying. Let's take the cover off. Fill this back up. Well, we won't fill it all the way because that'll just be very, very expensive. 2,000 should do it. There we go. So put the cover back on. Take this over to field 5, get a worker on him. Get that field fertilised, and then we'll move on and try and manually do our 2 sunflower fields. Just check we haven't got any traffic coming. We do. There we go. So we'll start from this far end of the field. You can see there, look, there's no dark patch along the edge of the field. Oh, we've wasted so much time and money. It's not just the money that we've wasted by having to pay for fertilizer, but it's all the money, it's the money we used to hire a worker to basically just drive around and do absolutely nothing as well. And once again, the worker just doesn't like getting started in the corners of the fields. There we go. Get him going a little bit. But you just can't see anything, look. It's just so thick. You can barely see any part of the soil at all. So it's just impossible to manually do that and make sure you get full coverage without, you know, wasting a lot of fertilizer by overlapping really badly. So yeah, as soon as this is done, we'll move on to our sunflowers and see if we can manually do those. There we go, finished on this field. So we're going to quickly head over to field 3 and get started over there. And it is Fact Sheet Friday, so we've just literally just this second had the latest 2 fact sheets go live. The first one is the Colossus 10.000 from TT, the sugarcane tipper, which looks fantastic. Really looking forward to giving one of those a try. Just to give you a breakdown of the details, it's going to cost 31. I'm driving all over the place because I'm not watching what I'm doing. Let's just quickly hire a worker on this field just to get started while I read out the details of these fact sheets. So let's get him going. There we go. So we have the Colossus 10.000 from TT. Sugarcane trailer will cost $31,000 with a daily maintenance of $15. A 20,000 litre capacity. You can actually change the colour on this, so you can have it comes as standard in that kind of sort of orangey, yellowy brown kind of colour. That will be configurable apparently, and can hold the following crops: sugarcane, straw, silage, wood chips, chaff, grass, and hay. So you can't use it for regular crops. You can't use it for any of our grains. You can't use it for beets or potatoes. But I do like the fact that you can use it for straw, silage, wood chips, chaff, grass, hay, as well as sugarcane. That's really nice to see. And then the other fact sheet is for the Case A8800 multi-row combine. This is our sugarcane harvester. Will cost us $349,000. So this is going to be very expensive. And a daily maintenance of $1,020. Will output 263 kilowatts of electrical energy and has a 358 horsepower engine, a 480 litre fuel tank, top speed of 10 kilometers per hour and 6 miles per hour. So its top speed is the same as its work speed. A working width of just 2 meters, but it does have a back attacher as well. So we will be able to tow things with this. It'll be interesting to see if there's anything that is worth towing, and whether or not we can perhaps tow a couple of trailers behind this thing and feed directly into the trailers. That'd be kind of interesting to see if we can try that. Obviously, we'll have to wait until we either see some footage of that in action, or we get our hands on a copy of this in November. So there we go. That's the 2 fact sheets. It's Fact Sheet Friday, and they, as always, look brilliant with the images. Really nicely put together. So glad to see the return of the fact sheet series coming through. We still have some more details from Platinum to come over the next few weeks as we get closer and closer to that November 14th release date. Okay, so just one last field to go, and then we've got everything fully fertilised, and we're going to do this one manually. The plan was to do both of these manually, but obviously the fact sheets came out and I wanted to make sure I included that information in the video for you there, in case you hadn't already seen them. So this will take just a couple of minutes just to do this field. So while we're doing this, we're going to wrap things up. Thanks for watching. I hope you're enjoying the series. I hope you have enjoyed the series as well. As I say, we are almost ready to bring an end to Season 1 of Fendt Farm. We do still have American Outback running for a fair while yet. We're a couple of months away from the replacement map for that. So you can make sure you check that farm out. We've just bought ourselves an 850 Legend hook lift on that farm there, and we've got plenty of silage to shovel, so we can try and buy those really long fields 7 and 8. I want to get those in and at least harvested at least once if we can before that farm comes to an end. Big Bud Farm still runs as well. That's running once a week on Sundays. We are getting some decent money on that, and we have another sort of potential expansion coming up on that farm when we move into beet harvesting in the coming weeks, as we raise some more money towards that. And then, as soon as the West Coast goes live, we will close down Fendt Farm here on Drummard and relocate it. We'll also relaunch Season 2 of Massey Manor on the same map as well. So plenty more farm sim footage to come, and then obviously in November we'll also do a series on the new content on the Platinum Edition. So we'll use the new map and the new equipment and get some sugarcane harvesting done. And if you're looking for something other than farming sim footage, then we also have Season 2 of Prison Architect running at the moment. Do please check that out. That's a fun little series. We've got some DLC involved this time around, so we're using the All Day and a Night DLC. We're also using the Psych Ward DLC, and we're also incorporating prison gangs into our playthrough this time as well. So that could be quite an interesting proposition if we start getting gang members turning up in our prison and fighting over territory. So do give that a check. And of course, the very popular City Skylines PS4 edition is running on an almost daily basis. We're going down to just weekdays at the moment for our current Jimsville playlist. That'll run Monday to Friday, and then I'll look to see if I can do something a little bit different with City Skylines over the weekend as well. But we're going to aim for daily content with that, for a while yet. So plenty of content to choose from on the channel. There'll be some other little bits and bobs popping up in the near future as well, so do stay tuned for that. And of course, you can always check me out on Facebook at facebook.com/JimBobPlaysGames. So once again, thanks for watching. I'm Jim Bob, and I will catch you back on the channel very soon.